Hello, my Teaserking family. How is everybody today? I am doing fine. Just 1 second. All right. Gold price, as we always start, is 25.72. You can see the range. For some reason, it went down at 1 in the morning, which is very unusual, from 25.76 to 25.66, and then it went up all the way until 8 o'clock to 25.79. I thought we'd have a big run. We got our 10 o'clock drop from 25.78 to only 25. So it only went down $8. The graph is so onesie twosie that it looks like a big drop and it's only a few dollars. And now we're back to 25.73. It's really choppy at this point. We are expecting 2,600. What I've noticed, and silver 30.45. What I've noticed is that these by day, there's certain days, like yesterday, it just went down the whole everywhere. And then today you see it's going up most places. So I think there's a sell day and a buy day. I think Tuesday's the sell day, Wednesday or Thursday is the buy day. But you can see it's in a very limited trading range. All right. Let's go to covers.com and we'll go through college line. I have posted one lock. Probably today's Wednesday. I will probably post some picks. So here's my dilemma. I've got 5, 11, let's just call it 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. I got about 27 games that logically makes sense to me based on my theories. What's my theories? Z teams, A teams, over, under, looking at the line. Revenge games, off of a loss, backs against the wall. So you mix up all these theories, then you start checking the team. All right, where's the Z team? Okay. Who's off of a loss? Who's revenge? Next week we got Georgia, Alabama. We got Georgia revenge. I guarantee you they will not play a 13-12 game with Alabama. So the first sweep is I look at the prior games and my stats to determine, well, wait a minute, I see them as a 40-10, but wait a minute, they beat a high school team, and in the games against real teams, they only are 20-10, or vice versa. So I then adjust my numbers based on, well, wait a minute, that includes high school. And so now they're really not an A, they're a B, or they're an under, or not an under, they're an over, or, what kind of team they are. Now, as we get another week or two into it, I won't have to do that. It'll blend. If you lost to Ohio State 59-0, you lost to Ohio State 59-0. So, 1 second. Let me get my feet of bread. If any of you, there's a Susan O'Neill. She's a Australian doctor, like our bald, like Stan Enberg doctor. And she has a hair growth thing, and it's coconut oil, it's castor oil, and I want to say some berry. And you mix it together and you rub it in your hair, and your hair grows. So I've never had that problem. I'm a little thinner up here, but I will probably give it a shot, like I give everything else a shot. I did hear from my student finally this morning, and so we will have class Friday if anybody's interested. It's a Zoom class. It's sort of like, how do I work behind the curtain? And then we still have the regular. I got 3 people to the college class. What I might do with these college and pro classes, these $25 ones, is put them on Zoom. We don't need them on YouTube. And you're going to pay me, and I got to load your emails in anyway. So I might send you a Zoom or a Teams, and we'll just do it that way. Then we don't have the problem of you can't chat back, or you can't talk back. You don't need to have your camera on, but this way I can talk like this and you can respond. So I think it's actually a better way. I can't do it here because I don't know who's going to join, but in the private classes, maybe I'll do that. And we will see. So always problem solving, the professor. So with that in mind, we are set for Friday. And again, I did a class last Friday night, college football, very well liked, I believe. And it's only $25, and I go through all the games, but I give you the picks, my scores, my line, totals, whatever we're looking for. And I can do that, so that's where you get all the money making ideas. Again, gold is very much an investment, just like football. We're making anything you make money at, it's an investment. So to say gold's not an investment, these are people that don't know what an investment is. Why can't you make money at it? If it goes from 2,000 to 2,600, you just made $600 an ounce. If you have 100 ounces, you just made $60,000. Well, isn't that an investment? Some of these people are so stupid. Anyway, Bricks, October 22nd. And let's go to football. So let's go to college. So I've got to break 27 games down to about 10. So again, how I do it is I kind of go into the box score. Well, first I do everything over, and then I go into the box score and I determine, well, how good is their quarterback? Do they have a running attack? How good was their defense? How did the other team do? And for example, I'm looking at BYU, Kansas State. It's one of the late games, and I'm looking at it. Well, what do I think this game's going to be? Either quarterback's great. Both teams seem to have good defenses. So I'm really working the game to try to figure out, is one team dominant? Is it an A game? Is it an over? Is it an under? Well, anyway, that's how I come up with our winners. And when you ask me questions, that's why sometimes there was a question about taking North Texas over with Wyoming. But when you look at Wyoming, they don't score much. North Texas does. But last week we locked. Well, we didn't lock. We played the over in that game. It was 69. We went over 63. And at halftime, Texas Tech was up 52-7. But Wyoming is not an offensive team. They're not going to give you 30, 40 points. Well, maybe against North Texas they could. They have such a bad defense. But Look for North Texas to light it up. But then do I want to play the over or North Texas? So I got to get help from both teams to get over. All right, let's go. App State, 763.5. Line hasn't really moved against South Alabama. I have both teams. So I'll give you the rank of the team. Both teams are over teams. Both teams average over 450 on offense, which makes them over team. Applewhite is the new coach at South Alabama, who is the quarterback at Texas, who has their offense really explosive. This is why you can't look at last year. He wasn't there. They were a decent team. That's why you got to wait a few weeks and watch how are they doing with the new coach. Look at UCLA. They're terrible. Look at Indiana. They got James Madison's coach, and they look like a top 10 team. So that's why you need that 3-4 week. How is this team with this coach? Now you can understand. Look at Chip Kelly, the offensive coordinator at Ohio State. They're scoring 60 points a game. All right, so this is the Thursday night game. Friday night, Syracuse 8.5, 57. This was 10, so there's Stanford money coming in. Over-under hasn't changed. I have Stanford as a B team, which I doubt seriously they're really a B team. That's stats-wise. Syracuse is an over team, which they have the Ohio State quarterback's playing much better here than he did at Ohio State, which is really strange. Which could be why they fired their offensive coordinator and brought in Chip Kelly. All right, so we'll see the games at Syracuse. 8.5, 57. Syracuse, pretty explosive. Oh, well, they're an over. If they're an over team, they probably have 500 yards of offense. Next game, a good Big Ten game, Illinois, Nebraska. I have both teams as an A team. I got Nebraska 7.5 and 43.5. This was 9 down to 7.5. Friday night. Two really strong teams, very good defenses, pretty, not explosive offenses, but good offenses. Washington State, 11.5, 55.5, down from 13.5. I have them both as A teams because Washington State did beat Washington, but it's not the super strong Washington team they beat. San Jose State beat Air Force. They got the Navy coach, and they're actually throwing the ball a lot. It's not just they're not playing Navy run the ball. So I have them both as A's. San Jose State not as explosive offensively. 14 defense versus Washington State with the 21 defense. But again, that's kind of misleading. It depends. I haven't thrown out the high school team. If they played, they don't all play high school teams. Michigan hasn't. Last year they played regular teams that were high school teams. This year they played Fresno State and Texas. So, Michigan stats are good, but here I think they're okay. San Jose State, tough defense, shutting down Air Force, which they knew how to do. So it's a little misleading. Here they get Washington State. So we will see. They get 450 a game. So I don't know. Point spread seems a little high, especially after playing Washington. Now, here's what I throw in my little computer head is they got to be a little flat. You get up for the Washington game, just like Oregon State. You have to be you can't play at the same level every week, which is just human nature. Some days you feel better than others. That's just the way it is. So should be a good game. And then we get to Saturday. So that's Friday night. Saturday, Florida 6-59, up from 5.5. I assume Florida's favored because Old Mississippi lost to Toledo by 30 points. It's hard to explain how Florida, as bad as they look, can possibly be a road favorite to Old Mississippi State, but they are. I got both teams as an over team. Both teams have 27 defenses. Florida only gets 300 yards of offense. Old Mississippi State, 376. So it's probably a game to just stay away from. I don't know how you could possibly take Florida. That'd be like taking Florida State. It'd be very hard. Charlotte, Indiana. Indiana 28 and a half, 49. That line hasn't moved. Charlotte is our first Z team. They give up 32 a game. They only get 250 yards of offense. Indiana, A team, killed UCLA, and they're at home. I don't think they'll be flat. I think they'll kill them. They'll kill them. They'll kill them. They'll kill them, as Herman Munster would say. Definitely an A team with a 7 defense. Now, they played UCLA. They played a good team. Well, not a great offense, but they look very sharp. I doubt they'll come home and then not play. So 28. See, I'd rather play Indiana minus 28 down to 22 than say one of these 50-point spreads. Where's that? Penn State 49 over Kent State. I mean, that's doable, but that's a long way to get to. Where's Ohio State? Oh, yeah, maybe they're off this week. I got Missouri. I got Ole Miss 36. I got Texas 45. I thought I had here, Ohio State's a 40. I was looking for a 50. So I think this fits. Very good team playing a Z team, but you're only laying 28 is probably a wiser play than chasing a 40 in the Ohio State game. Just my opinion. I don't think Charlotte is much of a threat. Tulane 354.5 to Lou Lafayette. Tulane minus 3. I have them both as A teams, even though they're probably not. But at this point, based on the stats, they're in a, they get 35 points a game and give up under 20. They're an A team. Lou Lafayette gives up 10. Tulane gives up 23, but that includes the Oklahoma game. Interesting game here. James Madison, North Carolina. North Carolina 10.5, 48. Line hasn't moved. James Madison with a 6 defense. North Carolina with a 16. Well, they both average about 350. How good's James Madison? They got a new coach, and so that's what you really are waiting to see. Like UCLA got a new coach. They're not anywhere what they were. But the Twins left. So the top 3 linemen last year all got drafted and have moved on. And obviously the replacements aren't anywhere where those guys were. Clemson, 20.5, 46.5 to NC State. They're both over teams. NC State with a 31, but that's kind of misleading. Tennessee beat them up pretty bad, so it's all on that Tennessee game. Clemson doesn't have anywhere near the offense Tennessee does, and they gave up 27. Most of that's the Georgia game. So what do we got here? We got a mess. West Virginia 2.5, 56.5 to Kansas. Kansas, Daniel stinks. He's not. He's throwing a lot of picks. West Virginia played Pitt, played Penn State. They played good teams. They got a 29 defense. Kansas with the 16 defense. So their defense is getting better. Their offense is getting worse. I don't look at them as an over anymore. I got them as a B team. West Virginia an over team. Ohio State 39.5, 52.5. I'll leave it at 40. I got Marshall as a B team, a 17 defense. Ohio State's an A team with a 3 defense. Ohio State 500 yards, haven't played anybody. Marshall 344. I think they played one tough team. I don't think they played Alabama, but they played somebody. I don't recall, but how much is Marshall going to score, and then how much is I don't know that Ohio State's a 40-point favorite in this game. And the other ones, okay, Akron, Kent State, yeah, I get that. I don't know. Marshall is a decent team, okay, but it's not a Z team. That's why I said in Indiana they're playing a Z team. I mean, the team will be like Charlotte to get past midfield. Marshall could put up a decent game, and certainly 40 points. This is not where you lay the 40 points. I'm not telling you to bet Marshall. I'm just saying beware of Ohio State. Houston, Cincinnati, 3.5, 48.5. Let me fill in my blanks here. Okay. Houston's, like I said, Willie Fritz got them playing better. I got them as an under team. They don't have a good quarterback. They have a really strong defense. Again, they held Oklahoma 16-12. Cincinnati is a B team. They did blow the lead to Pittsburgh 28-27 last week. So they're 3.5. Houston is a 17 defense, Cincy at 21. Houston did lose to Vegas, who apparently is a very good team. Houston, I think, is coming along. Give them a few more weeks. Cincinnati is an explosive team, but I don't think they're more explosive than, well, maybe more than Oklahoma, but definitely we'll see what Cincinnati, against weak teams, Cincinnati's explosive, but then against Pittsburgh, 28, and now they get Houston, and I doubt they'll get to 28 on Houston. Army Rice, Army 5.5, 42. Rice is an over team with a 25 defense. They're an over team with only 300 yards of offense. So they're getting, I've seen kickoff return, pick sixes, a lot of that, which makes teams over. But I'm looking at them over as they have a good offense. Right, Ohio State, an over team. Not because they're getting turnovers, but because of their offense. My Army team, I got as an A team. They got a 7 defense. And they're running 390 yards a game, and they played somebody decent. So this is Army running it down your throat, I think. 5.5. We'll see. Rice with the 25 defense. So do I take Army? Do I take under? Do I take over? Army's scoring. So this is a good game for my Army team. Kentucky, 20, 42.5, hasn't moved against Ohio. Ohio I got as an under team, 21 defense. Kentucky, we saw against Georgia, they will be flat in this game. How do they get up for Ohio after losing to Georgia? But they lost to South Carolina 20-6. And South Carolina, we see, starts now. They put up 34 in LSU. They had a freshman quarterback. Kentucky and under, give up 14 a game, only 257 yards. I still can't believe Georgia only beat them 13-12. They obviously were looking ahead to Alabama. I get it. You just never know what they're doing. Is it always a look ahead or not? I would say Michigan was not looking ahead to USC because they had just lost to Texas, so that takes that off the table. Kentucky and under team, they're laying 20. Ohio State, decent off. They're not Ohio. They're not a really good offense. New quarterback. Interesting. But we'll see. 2 under teams. CMU 6.5, 53 to Ball State. Ball State's a W, kind of a Z team. A 48 defense. Jesus Christ. 276 on offense, and Central is an over team with a 30 defense. You got a 48 defense playing a 30 defense. Over under a 53 here, 6.5, 53. CMU definitely has the offense for it. The question is, does Ball State have the offense? If yes, you play over. If no, you can play Central. Iowa State, 21.5, 51.5. They came from behind to beat Iowa. They were off last week. I like Rocco Breck. I love the coach. They usually have a pretty good defense. Ark State was down to Michigan, scored 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter to fuck the cover. to lose 28-18. Michigan's quarterback threw 3 interceptions. He's not playing this week. So we got a team that's an under team with a good defense, laying 21.5. I don't know. I mean, because Rocco Breck can throw. I mean, they can put up some points. 21.5 is a big number. I mean, Michigan was laying 22 and should have covered it in the teaser. Okay. Utah State, 654 to Temple. Wow, this is up from 51. A lot of money going on this game for some reason. I have no idea. Both teams are Z teams. 33 defense, Utah State 39 for Temple. Temple gets 280 a game, and Utah State 351, even though Temple gave Coastal Carolina, they actually scored on them a few points. So I don't know. It's hard to play a Z team on the road, which Utah State is. Temple playing a little bit better last week. So I mean, this is a game I just watched. Neither team has an offense, so the over-under at 54, but their defenses are so bad, you just don't. Will they be able to move on the defense? Virginia, 3.5, 54.5 to Coastal Carolina. I have Virginia an E team, which means they score 23 and they give up 23. Coastal Carolina's an over team, but didn't show it last week, not covering with the 23 defense. And they both have like a 400-yard offense. Really hard to say here because I don't know what Virginia is. Are they going to light up Coastal Carolina? They both have 23 defenses. I think it'll be a good game. I don't understand the spread at 3.5. I thought it's a little low. Jacksonville State, 660.5 to Southern Miss. Southern Miss, the Z team. 30 defense, weak offense. Jacksonville State, an over team, a 47 defense. Neither team really gets a lot of yards on offense. I don't know what to do here. Jacksonville State, it's Rich Rodriguez, I think. They scored a lot and lost to my Eastern Michigan last week. Eastern Michigan did win as they went favorite. Here, it's hard to say. Maybe they can beat Southern Miss. They are the Z team. I think I would take Jacksonville State before I would try to tease Southern Miss, but I'm nowhere near this game. Texas Tech, 360 to Arizona State. 19 defense for Arizona State. Texas Tech at 36. They did put up, 65 points on my North Texas last week, but it's okay. We had the over. That's why we play the over. This should be Arizona State. I got as an 18. They've been scoring well. Their defense is a 19. I doubt they hold Texas Tech to 19. Texas Tech's an over team, as we know. Score a lot, 36 defense. Washington State had them. It was a 34-17 game with Washington State, which was surprising that they only scored 17 there, but came back against North Texas. So, they'll score a little. 59's intriguing with the Texas Tech team. That good quarterback. Should be interesting. How much is Arizona State going to just run? They got a good running back and a good quarterback to just take the air out of the game. This I don't know. Our favorite team, Northern Illinois, 14-43 to Buffalo. Buffalo is an under team with an 18 defense. They only get 300 yards a game. Northern Illinois, our heroes, an A team, 14 defense. You saw it against Notre Dame, 500 yards of offense. It was 700. they still got a good 400 or so yards against Notre Dame. I mean, it's not like they got 200 yards on them. So, man, 13.5, 14, 43. Yeah, go Northern Illinois. We don't know how good Buffalo is at this point. They lost to Missouri 34-0, and then they played somebody. I think they played UMass and won 38-0. So where do we stick Northern Illinois? They're not Missouri, but they're not Massachusetts. The Fighting Irish, 28-44 to Miami of Ohio, another MAC team they can lose to. Yeah, Miami doesn't score. They only got 300 yards. They're an under team with a 20 defense. Notre Dame's a B team with a 12 defense, but it's really scattered. They scored, they lose to Northern Illinois 16-14, and then they put up a 66 on Purdue. Are they an over team? Which game are you looking at? If you're looking at the Northern Illinois game, they're not an over team. They're an under team. Good defense. A&M, good defense. Then they get in last week against Purdue, and they put up 66. What is that? Well, that was a pissed team off in a rivalry game. Now they're not so pissed, and they got Miami of Ohio, who's a decent defense. Have I circled this in any way? No, I don't. I think I'm just trying to figure out which team is Notre Dame. USC, Michigan, this is your free play. USC 5.5, 46.5. Michigan's changed their quarterback. The kid threw 3 picks last week against fucking Arkansas State. They got buried by Texas. Should have lost to Fresno State. You got a lucky pick 6. USC's looking a lot better. They have a 10 defense. Michigan with the 20. Again, most of that goes to Texas. Even last week, Arkansas State blew them up for 18. USC I have as an A team, and Michigan is an under team. They have no offense. Now, switching to Orji as the quarterback is not really going to help him. He can't throw. He's kind of like a running quarterback, sort of like the guy at South Carolina, only he's not that. All they got to do is USC just go and tackle him. Don't go for the ball fakes like Fresno State was doing. Do what Texas did. They just went after the quarterback. And he was pathetic. So I don't see Michigan getting too many points in this game. Over under 46.5. Now, if USC really has a 10 defense, this will be an under game. Michigan just good defense and they're an under team against an A team here. So the free play is take USC even. I don't see a big problem. Believe me, here's where Lincoln Riley comes in. I'm sure is watching that Texas film, seeing all these open receivers against Michigan for Texas. He'll run the same routes. He'll find the mismatches. That's where the problem will be. So Michigan's defense that you thought was great, had trouble with Texas, is going to struggle here. So I like USC. This is your free play. I got them winning 27-14. Michigan's defense will hold them a little bit. Michigan won't be able to score, and that's where you'll get. I don't see a Bo Schembechler, let's come on, guys. This coach is not no Bo Schembechler. Okay, so that's your free one. Memphis, 9.5, 50.5 to the Navy. Memphis beat Florida State last week. Well, yeah, that used to be an impressive thing until everybody's beaten Florida State this year. Now we know Georgia Tech's good. We didn't know how good Boston College is, but we saw how they played Missouri. Boston College is a pretty good team. Memphis, really good offense. They got a 10 defense. And Navy's an 18 with a 16 defense. So again, 9.5, 50. Normally, Navy we like under because they're going to run the ball down your throats, but they have been throwing. I've got them as Well, mostly a rushing team, 400 yards a game. Memphis passing team, 359. So it's going to be one. It's going to be, can Memphis stop Navy's running, and they'll take the air out of the ball, so Memphis won't be able to, have 10 possessions throwing the ball all over. I think it's a big spread, Memphis. They got to be a little flat after the Florida State win. Quarterback's good, Hennigan. But Navy's been playing really good ball. So it's hard to say here. The game's at Navy. I don't even know if I want to go over or under, if Navy's going to just take the whole quarter and do a 15-play, 90-yard drive, take 12 minutes off the clock. We're not getting anywhere near 50. Will they do that? And then Memphis, are they going to light it up? Or is Navy usually has a pretty good defense at home. This will be a good game for Navy, I think. So Memphis has got their hands full in this game. Penn State, 48.5, 56.5 to the Z team. Kent State, a Z team with 50 defense. Jesus Christ. So they played Ohio State. I think now they got Penn State. They only get 198 yards offense. Wow. Yeah, this is a Z team. Penn State with the Kansas offensive coordinator scoring more, a 20 defense. Kent State with a 50 defense. How do you have a 50 defense? What are they doing out there? Penn State kills them. The question is, that's a lot of points to cover, 49. So let's say in our world, 43. You go over, but you're not going to get help from Kent State. They're going to get shut out, maybe a field goal. So you can't count on this. See, this is where people got to realize, to get the over, you need the North Texas Tech type, or the UCF TCU. You need both teams to score, and you need a close game where they're both scoring at the end. That's what you got with the UCF Texas Christian last week, was 35-34. That's how you get your overs. When we had Oregon, Colorado over, it was 44-0 at half. That's all you got. They just ran the ball, and Colorado, what could they do? They can't run the ball anyway. So, I mean, Penn State's going to kill them, but do you really want to lay 43? It's either lay 43 or don't. You can't take Kansas State, and you can't go under. So it's either an over 50, but then if you're going to do that, just go over 43 with Penn State. I don't know. They'll kill them, but it's just a lot of points. It's 49 points. Jesus. LSU, 24, 56.5 for Bobby. Up from 55. I don't know who in the world's betting this over. I got UCLA as really a W team. They barely beat Hawaii. They got killed by Indiana last week. They show no offense in that game, and I don't think they're going to show a lot of offense here. They have a 28 defense, mostly Indiana, and LSU's got a 27. UCLA's only getting 288. Garber stinks as quarterback. LSU, we got Bobby as quarterback, 400 yards. So you're laying 24. So do you lay? What do you do with the I don't think you can play UCLA here. Then you go over and under, but I don't think UCLA is going to help you out with points too much. Now, LSU's defense looked pretty shitty against South Carolina. So do you trust LSU to cover 18, or do you trust this game to go over 50 because LSU's defense isn't good, but UCLA's offense sucks? Very hard game. VTech 3.5, 44.5 to Rutgers. Rutgers a very strong team, good running back, decent quarterback, great defense. Shiano. So Virginia Tech's 3.5, 44.5. Rutgers is an 8 team with a 12 defense, and they are running a lot, 500 yards a game. They played some decent teams. Virginia Tech's a B team. They did lose to Vanderbilt, which at first I thought, Vanderbilt's good. Now I'm wondering how good is Virginia Tech with a 21 defense. This has got to be a close game, I think. Yeah, yeah. So I think Rutgers is a live dog here, just because they can run and play the defense. I don't think Virginia Tech's going to blow them out. Not at all. Good game here. Louisville, 10.5, 57.5 against my Georgia Tech. The line has not moved. Georgia Tech with a 17 defense, Louisville with a 7 defense. They played like one high school team and one regular team. Good offense. 554 a game. Georgia Tech 420. I love Kings. I don't know. I think Louisville's got a Texas quarterback or something like that. 10.5. That's a lot to give Georgia Tech 16.5 points. It really is. We don't know how strong Louisville is, but we know Brahm's a good coach. I mean, it's a really confusing game because Louisville's got the 7 defense. And you just don't know, is it really a 7? But is that going to stop Georgia Tech? They put up 24 on Florida State's defense when you thought it was good week 1, and Georgia Tech played some good games. So I don't know. I think they're a live dog, but it's hard with Louisville being a very good team. And then the total of 57 depends on, is Louisville a 7 defense? They were last year. They were an outstanding defense. So are they still there? And Georgia Tech, we know, it's kind of a 17 defense, but they're not super strong defensively. They win because of King and their coach are good offense. They'll keep the game close, I think. But again, there's too much unknown with Louisville. Auburn, 358 to Arkansas. I got Arkansas as an over, 22 defense. I got Auburn an A with the 14 defense. Both teams are explosive, 500 yards for Ark and 400 yards for Auburn. Auburn switched quarterbacks from the Michigan State guy to somebody else who threw 5 touchdowns. So stop wasting time with the Michigan State guy. Couldn't you see that in practice that this guy was much better? This is the part I don't understand. You're watching the guy in practice. He had Cam Rising. He was the 3rd stringer a couple years ago. Couldn't you see he was a star? Just amazes me, these coaches. They wait for an injury, they fill him in, and then they start scoring 40 points a game. You're like, what? Didn't you see that? It's unbelievable. So we'll see. Auburn, lane 3. 14 defense, Arkansas 22 defense. I would think this would be high scoring. They played Cal 21-14. Cal actually won. Arkansas at the 20. I see Auburn being able to score, but I don't think they're going to stop Arkansas. Giving up 21 to Cal, you're giving up 21 to Arkansas, and you're at 58. So we will see. Let's add this to our list. So the problem is, so as I'm going through, I'm going, yeah, I like this, I like that. But then I got, okay, how do I get to 10? How do I go from 25 games to 10? That's the problem. It's not a problem, but it's just making sure you don't have the Vanderbilt this week. I'd be shocked if USC loses to Michigan. Duke, 14.5, 52 to Middle Tennessee. Middle Tennessee is a Z team. 42 defense. Duke is a under team. So this is the problem. Duke, will they score enough? They're only laying 14.5. They're a passing offense, 365 a game, and Middle Tennessee's a passing offense, 360. They're not a good passing offense. So this is what you have to determine: is Duke as an under team going to score enough? The over/under is 52. Or do you go over or under on the game? This is we don't have enough information, I don't think. My game, Utah 2.5, 54 to Oak State. Cam Rising, it says, is out, and yet the total is going up, which I don't understand. Cam Rising's out. I saw him in the injuries. He's out. Okay. But the line's acting as if he's playing. Curious. Oak State's an over team with a 20 defense. Utah's an 18, as long as Rising can get out there with an 11 defense. Ollie Gordon really hasn't done much. They've been passing the ball more. My assumption is they're just putting 9 in the box to defend Ollie Gordon, and then the quarterback's, sitting there going, oh, I got this whole open field. They got a good offensive coordinator, Oak State, good coach. So I don't know if they're a live dog. They are at home, and then if Rising's out, I don't. Utah's got a great defense. They're an under team then from an A team, and then I would think it would be an under game, but I don't know. They got a freshman quarterback. He played well last week against nobody. I don't know. This is a good game, but I just don't know. I don't really want to trust a freshman quarterback at Oak State, and they're a home dog, and they play Oklahoma every year. So I think that this is going to be an excellent game. Missouri 21-53.5 to Vanderbilt. Do we get revenge with Missouri over Vanderbilt? 21-53. We got Vanderbilt, a 21 defense, Missouri a 7. They had trouble a little bit with Boston College. Even though Pavia is the quarterback for Vanderbilt, he did look good against Virginia Tech. He did not look good losing to Georgia State last week. Are you kidding me? I don't know how that happens, but they don't have the defense. I think Missouri got a little scared last week. Look for them to, really put it down. Vanderbilt probably saw what BC did to them. Probably a lot of short passes by BC. I don't know if Pavia can do that. I don't know. I think the line's probably right on. It's probably a 20-point game roughly. But I wouldn't fuck with Missouri. They're an A team. TCU SMU, I don't know what to do here. TCU laying 2.5, 3 with a 58 over under. It was 57.5. TCU with a 21 defense. SMU with a 16. SMU lost tight one to BYU. They barely beat Nevada, who's not that good. TCU played UCF to a big game, but UCF doesn't have much of a defense. So it's hard with TCU. They don't have much. 21 defense. Is SMU really a defensive team? They pulled the starter because he sucked last game against BYU. Very interesting call here. I got SMU as an 8 team, and I don't know. 16 defense. They played a decent defense against Nevada, and then against BYU was 18-15 or something like that. So it's really hard to determine SMU right now. Normally this would be an easy over, but SMU's not been scoring, and they've been playing decent defense. TCU could be a play at plus 3.5. They'll score in this game. We'll see. UTEP, Colorado State 9.5 and 50. Colorado, they're both Z teams, 32 defenses, and they both get about 310 yards a game. I don't know. Colorado State looked pretty bad against a weak Colorado defense, and UTEP, they're pretty bad. So I don't like Z against Z. I like A against Z or over against Z. Liberty 6.5, 54.5 to East Carr. Liberty with the 20 defense, East Car with the 12. East Car is not bad. I got Liberty an A and East Car like a B. Very close game here. I don't know. Liberty's good. East Car is pretty good too. They're not a bad team, so we'll see. L-Tech and Tulsa. L-Tech 3.5, 57 to Tulsa. I got L-Tech as an E team, 24 defense, 24 offense. Tulane is an over, or Tulsa is an over, a 33 defense. L-Tech's only getting 300 yards offense, Tulsa 400. Tulsa could be a live dog in this game. I don't know. L-Tech, I don't know enough about. Washington, 10.5, 42.5 to Northwestern. A lot of injuries on Northwestern. 10 or 11 guys. Are they starters, backups? Who knows? Does it really matter? It's Northwestern. Washington seems to be struggling. They beat a MAC team like 30-9 and then got killed. Then they lost to Washington State. Northwestern's an under team with a 13 defense, and Washington's kind of a B team, but they have a 12 defense. I think this will be the Arizona guy was a good defensive coach, and he just happened to fall into Fafita as the quarterback. They've been passing they got a 475 offense, Washington, but didn't show it last week. And Northwestern with the 390. See, the high school team blends it, and they go, "Oh, look at the offense." Yeah, that's against the high school team. So you got to be careful. You just got to look at what the Washington State game was, and you say, "Oh, yeah, they scored. It was 24-19. They only got 19 on Washington State." Well, I got news for you. Northwestern's got a very good defense. A lot of injuries, not a lot of offense. So we'll have to see. North Texas, 8.5, 9, 55.5 to Wyoming. Well, North Texas is the over of over teams. They'll score a bunch, and they got a 41 defense. Wyoming is a Z team, giving up 33 a game. They played Arizona State. They got killed. They got a new quarterback and, a lot of new faces, and the quarterback stinks. They've only gotten 190 a game offense. North Texas, we know they're going to run it up. So you got 9 or you got 55. The problem with the 55, North Texas probably gets you into the 40s. It's what do you got from Wyoming? And the problem is North Texas defense is so bad, even Wyoming can probably get some points. So it's hard to bet on a team to win with a weak defense, like we struggle playing Colorado because they have no defense. So think of this as Colorado, right? Really good quarterback, good offense, and a weak defense. So normally this would be an over, but I'm not sure Wyoming. I mean, I would think they'd get us 14 points, and North Texas will get us 40 points, probably. UConn, 2.5, 46.5 to Florida Atlantic. How is UConn a favorite? They are an over team this year with a 31 defense. Florida Atlantic's an under team with a 20 defense. I don't know how to. I can't take. How do you can't play Connecticut as a favorite? That's ridiculous. Sam Houston, 16.5, 44.5 to New Mexico State. New Mexico State's the Z team. Sam Houston's playing well. I got him as an E team with a 24 defense. New Mexico State with a 31 defense, 200 yards of offense, and Sam Houston with 300 yards of offense. I think Sam Houston wins. We don't know enough about either team really, but Sam Houston's playing better this year. Leave it to Sam. All right, really good game here. Toledo, 2.5, 62.5 to Western Kentucky. Toledo's an 18 with a 16 defense who lit up Mississippi State last week. They beat them they put up 40 on them. Western Kentucky, we know they can light up, and they did play Alabama. They are at home. They're a home dog. 28 defense. This should, be a high scoring game, I would imagine. If Toledo can put up 40 on Mississippi State, then, and it wasn't all pick sixes. Western Kentucky put up a 40 on whoever they played last week. They got a good quarterback, as we know they usually do. 61, we need minus 55, 28, 27. This game will be much more than that. Miami, South Florida, Miami 16.5, 65. Miami's been killing everybody. South Florida, good offense, good running attack. Miami's 549 a game, South Florida 418 a game, and mostly rushing. 9 defense for Miami, 23 for South Florida. What you going to do here? How good's Miami's defense? Is it really a 9? All right, they played Florida. That doesn't count. They beat like a nobody last week. Who did they beat last week? They beat Ball State 62-0. Ball State I have as an over team, actually. But they didn't do shit. It's funny, they were an over team last week. Now I got Ball State as a W this week with the 48 defense. This is the problem. In the beginning, you're not sure what they are. I thought Ball State was an over. I didn't bet the game. Now I got them as a W. So now the new stats come out, and they're like, oh, no, they give up too many points. Plus, getting shut out, move their offense down, and then you see what they really are. I can see Miami lighting it up. The question is South Florida. How good of the defense is Miami, which seems pretty good. Again, the only real game was against Florida, which we now see how bad Florida is. It's an interesting game here. You want to go over with it because Miami's scoring and South Florida, can score. I can't imagine Miami's defense is that good to shut out South Florida. I would kind of doubt that. And they're a good running team, which means that they'll find ways to move the ball. Well, we will see. And then if you get way down, can you keep running? Because they can't pass. So if you're down 28-0, then now you're trying to pass and you can't. Florida State 2.5, 44.5. How are they favored? Is Booglia still? If he's still this quarterback, you just take Cal. I mean, what a joke. Cal with the 12 defense, Florida State with the 24. They're both under teams. But Cal did go to Auburn and win 21-14. There's no way Florida State blows them out with Booglia. So Cal's a very live dog here. Also probably an under game because Florida State can't score, but they still have a good defense, and Cal has a good defense. Like I said, they beat Auburn 21-14. So you played it. Auburn's got a real quarterback. A&M 23-52 to Bowling Green. That line hasn't moved. I have an A&M as an A team. They did lose to Notre Dame and then beat a weak Florida team. Bowling Green I have as an over team. 400 yards a game, a 25 defense, A&M with the 17. This is going to come down to A&M blitzing and how Bowling Green can protect the quarterback enough to throw the ball. They're a very balanced team, Bowling Green. I think the 23 is too high in this game. Do you have the balls to bet Bowling Green, though, is the problem. It's not Northern Illinois, but they're close. They're an over team. This is the one that played Penn State. They were up on Penn State late. Penn State beat them like 37-24. So they played with Penn State. They'll play with A&M. So this is a live dog, I think. Tennessee 757.5 to Oklahoma. It's a great game. A versus A, freshman quarterback against freshman quarterback. So they both have freshman quarterback. The Tennessee one's a volleyball player. Now, all Tennessee, they played one good game. They killed North Carolina State at home. Oklahoma played Houston tight and then beat Tulane, who's a good team also. Not as good as last year's because they lost their coach. So I'm looking at this, and this is a tough game because I don't, how strong is Oklahoma's defense? Is Tennessee going to go up and down the field on them? Maybe a few times, not the whole game. They will be punting. Now, Tennessee is a 4 defense. Again, NC State didn't do much, and then they played a high school team. And Oklahoma is an 11 defense, beating Houston 16-12 in the Tulane game was what? 34-19. So they did start scoring a little bit against Tulane. 34. This is really, we'll see. How good's Tennessee? How good's, on defense? How good's this new quarterback, Arnold, for Oklahoma? Again, struggling against Houston. Houston must have a fucking bear defense. I mean, they're just, you can't score on them. Oklahoma, 16 points, and 2 was a safety. So very interesting here. We'll see Tennessee's defense. And again, Oklahoma, they both have freshman quarterbacks, and this is going to – he's looked good at Tennessee. He's got to go to Oklahoma this time. We'll see. He looks really good, better than Ooglia Booglia after 5 years. See, if only Florida State got the Tennessee quarterback, they'd be undefeated. A simple thing like that. Amazing. What did you see in Ooglia Booglia that you thought he was good? Wow. So this should be a very interesting game. I don't know over under because I don't know the defense. Oklahoma, I think, has a good defense, and then Tennessee. All they played was NC State and some nobodies, so I don't know that Tennessee's defense is all that. Oklahoma, I know, has the defensive coach. Tennessee's got the offensive coach. I don't know. I don't see Tennessee going up and down the field, putting up a 60 here. I'll be shocked. I don't know. It's a tough game because it's at Oklahoma. Oklahoma's got a defense. Quarterback, I don't know. Hard to say. Normally, this should be a dog game. Tease the dog, but I'm kind of not even going there in this one. Iowa and Minnesota. Iowa 2.5, 36.5. To Minnesota. Both B teams. Iowa with a 13 defense, Mini with a 6. We saw the North Carolina-Minnesota game, 19-17. Should have been 20-19 if the guy doesn't choke on a 30-yard field goal. Iowa, we saw against Iowa State, playing a 20-19 game, and I think that's what you get here, somewhere in that neighborhood, that 20-19, 20-21, something low scoring, 2 good defenses. Iowa's got the running back. I would take Iowa if they were the dog, which they're not. Minnesota has a bad quarterback. Iowa's McNamara is okay. It's really the Iowa running back. But they didn't do so much. What did they do? They put up 38-21 to Troy. So Iowa is scoring a little bit more. That's against Troy, though. Minnesota at Minnesota. This should be a good game. I'd be surprised if it was in the 50s. I think it'll be between 35 and 45. South Carolina 28 against Akron 46. This is again the Akron, the Z team. South Carolina looked pretty good against LSU. They didn't score against Kentucky. Thought, they're an under. Then they blew out somebody, and then they played a good game with LSU. So looks like as a freshman quarterback, he's getting comfortable against Akron. Here again, they're only laying 27. They got a pretty good defense. LSU picked it apart, but Akron doesn't have the offense to. Old Miss, 35, 66.5 to Georgia Southern. Georgia Southern's not bad. They're an over team. Old Miss is looking good. You're laying 30, down to 35 from 36. How good is Old Miss? We don't really know. They haven't played anybody. I mean, I don't call Wake Forest a strong team. They did keep them under wraps. 600 yards a game from Old Miss. Georgia Southern 366. Over under is 66. It seems like a big number. Again, Old Miss with the 3 defense. Georgia Southern 29. So Old Miss should light up Georgia Southern's defense, but Georgia Southern might play with them a little bit. I don't know. I'll be shocked if it's 62-0 again, but who knows? Good game. BC 6.5. Michigan State 45. Michigan State's a B team. They did go to Maryland and get a win. They got the new coach, the new quarterback, and getting comfortable. BC did beat Florida State, which apparently everybody does, and they played Missouri very well. They got a new coach. They're laying 746. I redid their defense because there was a high school team in there. So when you take the high school teams out, Michigan State's got a 17 defense and BC's got a 20 defense. So should get some points here. Again, if BC can put up 20 on Missouri, I'm sure Michigan State can score on them. They did go to Maryland and win, so we'll see about this. Baylor, Colorado. Colorado 254. Here's where you get in trouble with Colorado and no defense. This is Colorado's problem. Baylor, pretty good team, a B team. I got Colorado as an E team, 21 defense. Baylor with the 10. Now it's a misdirection stat because they played Utah and then Cam Rising was out. It was 23-0 when Cam Rising was playing. He gets knocked out and they win 23-12. So very misleading. The 12 they still got, but I think Utah would have scored a lot more than 23 with Cam Rising. You got Prime, but you got no defense and no running game. Baylor is a very good team. I think it's a live dog here, Baylor. Colorado got their win against Colorado State with no defense, but I got Baylor as a 10 defense. Let's call them a 15 if Rising played the whole game, or a 20, but still a good defense, and there's no way Colorado is blowing them out. Texas, 44-53, and I don't know who the quarterback is. We'll see if Ewers is playing. We'll quickly check some injuries. Lou Monroe is an A team, but it's a misleading A team. Texas, we know is an A team, beating Michigan. A 6 defense for Texas, that I believe. A 10 defense for Lou Monroe, I don't. So we'll see. Is Arch Manning starting, and then can they cover 44 with Arch Manning? I don't know. Unfortunately, Ewers, I don't know if I'd lay the 44. Maybe. They've been on fire. Fresno State 15-61 to where are they? To New Mexico. Fresno State an A team and New Mexico an over team. 15-61. Fresno can score. Mikey Keene. New Mexico is not bad. They can score, and they have a 47 defense. This is going to be a lot of Mikey Keene. Do I take Fresno State? Do I go over? I'm not sure yet. Purdue, Oregon State. We have no idea about Purdue. Oregon State, 4.5 and 50. I have no idea. Purdue played one game. They got killed by Notre Dame. They're not that bad. Curd, the Texas quarterback, is at Purdue. Oregon State got killed by Oregon. So this is like, okay, this will be the real, like, how good are these teams? And our last but not least, very good game, Kansas State, BYU. Kansas State, 6.5, 48. Kansas State, we know, is a strong team, A team, 13 defense. BYU is an A team, it looks like, with the 14 defense. Both teams get about 400 yards a game. Kansas State's very balanced. Quarterbacks, kind of one of these running quarterbacks. BYU, their quarterback's okay. He's not great. Very good late game. Okay, so that be that. Let's check injuries. I'm not going through heavy injury. It's too much. So we will go through just key guys that are out on certain teams. We don't care that Akron's missing 3 guys. I doubt it matters. Arkansas, 2 wide receivers are out. See, the thing with wide receivers, though, you carry 7 or 8 wide receivers, and it's an easy position. Can you catch? Yeah, everybody can catch a football. So it's, unless it's Jerry Rice, it probably is not going to matter. Ball State, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 guys are out, undisclosed, and then some with shoulders. Ball State. They're the W team. I'll put injuries. So on the teams I have marked with injuries are Ohio. And when I mark them with injury, they got like 10 guys out. Ohio against Kentucky, Ball State, UCLA, Northwestern, Oklahoma. It looks like Minnesota and Purdue. These have like multiple injuries. Now, does that affect it? Probably, if they're starters, but we don't know if they're starters or second teamers or what. Baylor's fine, Boise's fine, BC's fine. Bowling Green. Now here there's a bunch of questionable undisclosed, but they're not out. The other ones just said out, 10 guys. Buffalo, no. BYU, 2 running backs are out. So what does that mean? Well, Kansas State looks a lot more appetizing, and you're losing offense. It's going to be harder to score. So 2 running backs out. Cal, 2 wide receivers out. They didn't score much anyway. Central has DB, tight end, wide receiver, and a running back out. We don't know enough about them to know who's their starter. A lot of injuries. Cincinnati, defensive end, defensive tackle out. Clemson, nothing. Colorado, Prime the third out, and Hayden, the running back, doubtful. Florida, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 guys are out for Florida. Not that we wanted to bet them anyway. Jesus Christ. Against Old Mississippi State. We'll have to see if Old Mississippi State wants to have more if they're the dog at a game. They're a home dog to Florida. Florida Atlantic, 2 wide receivers are out. Florida State, does it matter? Unless it's Oogly or Boogly out. They're all rooting for him to go out. Fresno's fine. Georgia, who cares? They play next week. Georgia Tech, 2 tight ends are out, but they're August. Doesn't matter. Mathis, running back for Houston's out. Illinois, outside line. Now he's in August, so they're good. Indiana, 2, 4, 6, 7 guys are out. 3 are out as of September 14th, undisclosed. A tight end and a D lineman. There's 4 that were out, but they were out in August, and the way they looked against UCLA, they're not missing them. Iowa, linebacker and a wide receiver are out. A lot of injuries. This non-practice time's killing them because they're not used to hitting and getting hit. You got to get used to getting hit, and then your body can react to it. But when you're not used to it and you get hit, a lot of injuries. So again, by trying to limit the practice time, you've killed the goose laying the golden eggs. Jacksonville State, running back out. Kansas, they're okay. Kent State, the whole team's undisclosed. It's questionable. Kentucky, O-lineman and a running back out. And then they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So they got 9 guys out, Kentucky. So Ohio's got 10 guys out. Kentucky's got 9 guys out. Yeah, good luck betting the second teamers, right? That's why we don't bet preseason games. Louisville, they seem to be healthy. LSU, Bobby's going to play. Maryland, linebacker, wide receiver out. Memphis, running back out. Miami of Florida, questionable, undisclosed. I mean, what is that bullshit? Miami of Ohio, D lineman out. Michigan, nothing. A DB out September 4th, and then 6 questionables. Ooh, their tight end's questionable. Loveland, he's All-American, I think. One of the few good players they have. Michigan State, ouch. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 guys out, 7 total, but 4 new ones. DB, DL, 2 DBs, 3 DBs. Oof. Michigan State. They're playing BC. So they've got 7 out. But I don't think anybody important. No running back. Quarterback's fine. There's certain guys you can lose a lineman because you have 8, 9 offensive linemen and 8, 9 defensive linemen. Can't lose the quarterback. Minnesota, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 guys out. Jesus Christ. How do you bet this stuff? Well, I already got him marked as injured. D-line, 2 D linemen out, 2 wide receivers out, a running back, a DB, and then another O lineman, another D lineman, and a running back. A lot of linemen out. Doesn't really mean much. Old Mississippi State just has a running back out September 4th, so I don't know what's going on with Old Mississippi State. Missouri, they're fine. Navy, they're fine. Big Nebraska. They've got 3 guys out in August, so we don't count them. So the 14th guys, we've got 3 guys out, a linebacker, a DB, and an old lineman, which you got to keep in mind, they don't play 11 defensive guys, and if one gets injured, oh, my God, they probably have 20 guys ready. So to lose a few is not a problem. Don't lose the quarterback. You got 1 quarterback. You got 20 D linemen and 20 defense, and you probably got 8 offensive linemen you can rotate in. Because they got to keep them fresh. They get tired, so you got to keep the new guys fresh. North Carolina, a bunch of injuries. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys out. Nobody important. NC State, North Texas, running back out. That won't matter. They'll still score 60 and give up 60. Northern Illinois, my boys. See, nobody's out for Northern Illinois. They're out for blood. Northwestern, wide receiver out, and then one. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 guys out. For Northwestern. Ooh, Christ, I got to mark that. Oh, I did. I marked it. So I mark them injury, and I know it's like 10, 11 guys out. And they're all September 14th, and they're all out undisclosed, which is really strange. And they got to play Washington. So at Washington, how many are like, let's see how it's going to affect the game. A DL, no. 2 DBs, 2 wide receivers, a DL, a linebacker, 2 OLs. So, yeah, it's definitely another DB. So, yeah, 3 DBs out. So Washington should be able to pass on them, I would imagine. How many DBs do you have? Notre Dame, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Notre Dame players out. This is ridiculous. We've only played, we're in week 4, and these teams have 10, 15 guys out. Ohio, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 15 guys out for Ohio. Oh, my God. Where are they? They're over here. Oh, I got them marked. They're playing Kentucky. So I've already marked them. This is going to be wonderful. Ohio's got 15 guys out. Kentucky's got 10 guys out. Oh, it's crazy. Ohio State, a running back out August 1st. So they've got no injuries. I wonder what's really going on here that there's so many injuries. Oklahoma, 2 offensive linemen are out. 2 wide receivers are out. And they got Tennessee. None of their defense. So they're going to have trouble scoring if 2 linemen are out and 2 wide receivers are out. They're not going to score that much. Interesting. Oak State, not much. Really an old lineman or a linebacker out. Old Miss, everybody's ready to go. Oregon, we don't care. They're off this week. Oregon State plays Big Purdue. 2 wide receivers out and a D lineman out. Penn State, tight end out. A bunch of undisclosed questionables. Oh, just one guy. Pitt, 1 guy, DB. Purdue, the whole team's out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 Purdue guys. This is unbelievable. Yeah, I got them as marked as injuries. So what can you do with this? There's not a lot. Is the quarterback out? No. Okay. How many offensive linemen are hurt that are going to protect them? And then on the defense side, if they got a lot of defense, you don't know how good the backup is. So this really leads us to, back to preseason. And they're at Oregon State, who is healthy. So, they're all crying about the Notre Dame loss, I guess. I don't know. Rice is fine. Rutgers. Nobody out at Rutgers. Sam Houston. Defensive backs out for Sam Houston. Can we still bet them? San Diego State, nobody. San Jose State, nobody. SMU, a running back on the 4th is out. South Alabama, their quarterback's probable with a toe. This is a good quarterback, throwing a lot of yards, so he's got a toe, but he's probable. So hopefully not too bad. South Carolina, their quarterback Sellers is their starters, questionable with an ankle. I don't know if they're playing this week. I think they are. I don't know. South Florida, running back out. Southern Miss, don't care about. Stanford, Syracuse, nothing. TCU, nothing. Temple, 2 wide receivers are out. Tennessee, the big game. They got a defensive lineman out since the 2nd, so he's been out for a couple of games. So they're healthy. Texas, T. Owens, quarterback, but that's not the quarterback. It was Ewers. Are they fucking up the name? No, this is August 29th. So what's with their quarterback? Is he not out? I thought he broke his leg. I mean, I don't know. He's not listed. A&M, 2 DBs are out. T-Tech, O-lineman, and 2 linebackers are out. Toledo, a lot of undisclosed injuries, Jesus, but nobody out. It's funny how you got all these where it says undisclosed, out undisclosed, 20 guys, and here it's questionable, 20 guys undisclosed. I get the undisclosed part. They don't want to say it's his foot or his leg or whatever. We don't care about Troy. Tulane, they're healthy. Tulsa, wide receivers out. UCLA, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 guys out. Yeah, I got it listed. And that's probably why LSU now are these 2 defensive linemen, a D-back, 2 offensive linemen, a linebacker, running back, another defensive lineman. So UCLA is in big trouble. All these injuries. The coach obviously didn't get them prepared physically. LSU might kill them now. I mean, because you're dealing with 11. I don't know if they're starters or backups, but they're not available. Nothing. USC's good. Utah, Cam Rising out with the hand, so we know he's out. Certainly makes Oak State playable as a home dog. Utah State, UTEP, UTSA, Vanderbilt, nothing. Virginia, nothing. VTech, nothing. Wake, nothing. Washington, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 out. Well, let's say 6. Washington's got a few boys out. It's a battle of the injured. Cornerback, 2 tight ends. Well, actually, recently it's a tight end, a cornerback, and a safety. I got hurt in the Washington State game, but they already had 2 tight ends hurt before that, early September. Hard to figure. And then Washington State, they're fine. West Virginia's, they lost a D lineman. Who cares? Western Michigan, nobody. Wisconsin, they usually get a lot of injuries. Nobody. They had a lot of injuries before the Alabama game. I can't play. We're playing Alabama. Wyoming, a wide receiver out, and that's it. So that's your injuries. So I marked the teams where it's a lot. Ohio, Kentucky, Ball State, Florida, UCLA, Cam Rising out, Northwestern, a lot, Washington, not as much. Oklahoma injured, Minnesota injured, MSU injured, and Purdue injured. What do you do with them? Are they over? Are they under now? But it's not the key quarterback except for in Rising. They're just linemen getting hurt because they're not practicing, I guess. These coaches don't want to get anybody hurt. And then you end up with 11 guys out because you didn't want to get anybody hurt in practice. It's just terrible. All right, let's go to the pros. And we'll go quickly on this. You can see college just taking, and then I got to figure out all the college. So fortunately, I got spreadsheets and I can link things and get my data, but even the data includes high school games. So then I got to go through and clean out the high school games and check the quarterbacks. So I'm basically focusing on the defense, the quarterbacks, getting rid of the high school team so I know what they really are. And, like Tennessee, Oklahoma. Okay, Oklahoma played 3 real teams. Tennessee played 1, and they beat them, by 50. What does that tell us about Tennessee? Is that what they're going to do against Oklahoma? Well, that game was at Tennessee. This game's at Oklahoma. Oklahoma's not going to get buried at home. So we'll see. All right, let's go to the pros. And I'm just going to go through the lines. at this point. The Jets 6.5, 38.5. Indy 143.5 to the Bears. Cleveland 6.5, 38.5 to the Giants. Tennessee 36.5 to Green Bay. New Orleans 2.5, 49.5 to Philadelphia. Pitt 1.5, 35.5, 36 to San Diego. Houston 2.5, 46 to Minnesota. Tampa 7, 39.5 to Denver. Oakland 5.5, 40.5 to Carolina. Keep in mind you're getting Andy Dalton. Now he hasn't played in a few years. I don't think when he meets the rusher on Oakland, who I always struggle with his name. He'll be. I'm going to go on the bench again. Yeah, bring in that Steve Young guy. Seattle 4.5, 41.5 to Miami without Tag Tagliabue. Detroit 52.5 to Arizona at Arizona. The Niners 7.5, 43 to the Rams without Cooper Kupp and without Puka. There's big trouble, and then you don't have McCaffrey for the Niners, but you do have the backup running back did good, so I think they're okay. I'm sure they wish they had the Missouri guy back. Baltimore 1.5, 48.5 to Dallas. As pointed out, they're 0-2. They need to win, but they lost to Kansas City and then losing to Oakland. Now they go to Dallas. Interesting game here. KC 3.5, 46.5 to Atlanta. Buffalo 5, 45.5 to Jacksonville. And Cincinnati, our free play 7.5, 48.5 to Daniel. So you basically, let's quickly look at I'm only going to look at major injuries. I don't care about the linemen and everything in the pros. Arizona, Kyler Murray still says injured knee, but it didn't look too injured when he was running by the Rams last week. Let's see, Buffalo, Josh Allen injured hand, but I'm sure he'll be fine. Carolina, doesn't matter. They don't have real players anyway. Nobody's out there. The Bears, fullbacks out, O-lineman out. Oduzzi questionable with the knee. Keenan Allen questionable with the heel. Didn't play last week. Cincinnati. T. Higgins says still doubtful with the hamstring, but these dates are September 12th. So we need to get into this week. So these are old. It still says Joe Burrow with an injured right wrist. He's like, I'm fine. So it's T. Higgins. But we don't see Chase on there. Well, again, we got to wait for this way. That's what I don't like about it. Didn't they put an injury report out by now? Dallas. Again, these are the 11th and 12th injuries. Denver, nothing. Detroit, yeah, they haven't really changed. So nothing's changed. Green Bay, yeah, so this is pointless. We're not getting updated injuries. So the injuries I've had were Andy Dalton will take over for Steve Young. Tua's out. Deebo Samuel's out. Cooper Kupp and Puka are out. Pacheco's out for Kansas City. That's what we know. Big players. I did teaser trends yesterday. Green Bay's 13-1 as a road dog. Tennessee's a weak home favorite, same game, but you got Willis, so I don't really have Willis trends as much as Green Bay trends. Minnesota's a live play. Tampa Bay's a live play. Oakland's a live play. Detroit is a live play. Atlanta is a live play, but that's not with Cousins. And then Cincinnati's a live play with Burrows. That's the only one that makes sense, Cincinnati. Too many coaching changes, too many quarterback changes. What are you going to do with it? I mean, even Oakland, you didn't have Minshew last year. So assuming, I think if you at least have the coach, you can see how the coach does with the new quarterback, as long as he's not a rookie. Rookies need 8-9 games to even understand what the hell they're trying to do. So your free play here is Cincinnati backs against the wall, down 0-2, must win. Hell, Pittsburgh's 2-0. They can't fall 3 games behind them. And Burrow and Chase. Okay, Chase had his contract. Now he's playing. He's better. They played really good against KC. They woke up early. I was listening to this, how they think, well, this is just week 3 of the preseason. No, this is not week 3 of the preseason. You can lose preseason games. You can't lose regular season games. So whoever said that on the Detroit radio is missing the point. The preseason is the preseason. To say this is totally wrong, because preseason doesn't count. These count. You're losing games because you're not ready, because you didn't play them in the exhibition season. Is just incredibly terrible coaching. There's no other excuse, and all the teams are scrambling now, going, "Oh, I better play my players." What the fuck didn't you play them in the preseason? At least game 2. All right, I'll see the 4th string. Yeah, that really helped. That's a waste of everybody's time. You're wasting time. Okay, KC played Mahomes. Cincinnati played Burrow. You can see how well they played. You're wasting time putting in the 4th string quarterback. What are you doing? Why? He's got no chance to make the team. He sucked in college. What the fuck are you even looking at him for? To not give Daniel Jones or Bryce Young any time in the preseason, now you wonder why you get fired. So the Giants coach will get fired, and the Carolina coach soon will get fired because he sucks. Let's see. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the pros yet. Gold's 25.74. It's making its move up. Maybe we'll get 26 this afternoon, or maybe 25.90. The longer it stays there, the better. Like here we had this, for some reason, this midnight drop, 1 in the morning drop, but it bounced back. So 25.66, and that's it. So they're really not doing the derivatives because they know there's too much demand to buy gold. 30.46 for silver. You got to ignore the price. You know it's worth $1,000 an ounce, and that's how you got to look at it. This is worth what it's worth based on demand, based on its real money, based on the dollar going to zero. It's just, it's getting there, and that's how you got to look at it. So, good luck on your gold and silver. So that's about it here. Again, now I have a pro class. We can do both Friday night, and maybe we'll do Zooms or Teams instead of the YouTube, because it's so difficult to have a private class with chat. The whole point of the class, well, is for me to give you the in-depth detail of the picks. Here's my lock. Here's my picks. what I do here is just kind of give you the rundown of the teams. And if you're really a sharp, you can kind of follow some of what I say, but nothing is a pick here. But I just gave you, none of them are picks. I'm just explaining the team. This is an over and under. Oh, we got 10 injuries. Oh, we got, good quarterback, bad quarterback, or whatever, revenge game. They're all good, intuitive points for you to learn, but they're not, there's no picks I'm giving you. So if you want the pick, and that's what I did last week, I went through, here's my picks. Boom. Here's why. Here's what we're doing. Here are my locks. Here's this. So we went 2-1 in the college locks. We lost Georgia. We won the Iowa, and we won the UCF Texas Christian over. So we did 2-1. Georgia was a surprise, but you just assumed Georgia would win. I was disappointed I didn't bet the game under, as I like betting Georgia under, but neither here nor there. And then the pros. Now we are in week 3, and now I'm able to see, like, New Orleans and San Diego are the more of the cream, and Baltimore apparently sucks. Lamar's terrible. KC, Cincinnati's playing better. The Jets starting to turn it on with Aaron Rodgers. Look for them to be much better. So that's really what we're seeing. Detroit maybe isn't the same team. They're not an over team. I think this whole thing with Jameson Williams is hurting them, because in the red zone, he's useless. He's not big and strong. He's fast, but there's no room, right? He gets to the 15-yard line. I'm not worried about him going by me, because there's nowhere to go unless he's going into the crowd. And if he catches the ball, he's going to get tackled, and they'll beat the hell out of him. So he's absolutely useless in the red zone. You got to take him out and put in a Pukanuka type, which they don't have. So they're in big trouble there. They don't run enough in the red zone. They go for too many fourth downs, stuff like that. But we know that. That be the Lions. So I need new markers. My markers are drying up. I thought I had some. I'll have to look in my box. Hopefully I do. Otherwise, I'll have to go to Staples and buy some more of these pens and more of those. So that's what we've got going. I can quickly go through the quarterback. So Brissett against Rodgers, New England and the Jets. Kayla versus Richardson, Chicago, Indy. Daniel Jones against Watson, the Giants and Cleveland. Neither of them are professional. Green Bay, Willis against Levis. The ironic part is Willis was on Tennessee, and then he got cut, and then Green Bay picked him up, and now they're playing against Levis. And Willis did nothing last week. It was all running. Hurts against Carr, Philly and New Orleans. Herbert against Fields, San Diego, Pitt. Houston, Minnesota. Stroud against Darnell. Darnell's looking good. Denver, Tampa. Bo Nix against Baker. Baker's looking good. Carolina, Dalton. Hasn't played in a couple years. I don't know what's he going to do. Hey, Mario Piazza. Why are you a Bengals fan? Are you from Cincy? I don't work like that. I'm a Joe Burrow fan. So I'm not from Cincy. I'm in Detroit, but I'm not really a fan of anybody. I just am. Oh, they got Joe Burrow. They've lost 2 games. I'm betting them as I would bet anybody down 0-2. If KC was down 0-2, I'd be a KC fan this weekend. So I really just whoever I got to be open so I can pick whoever, right? So that's, but I do like Burrow and Chase. I'm gonna, I like them at all. I just like good players, and I like winning money, and they're gonna win me money, so I like them. That's why some of these teams I don't like, because they don't perform well under pressure. Carolina, Oakland, Dalton again hasn't played in a while. Minshew's looking really good. Brock Bowers, my man, 9 catches last week, and Deshaun and Adams had a big game. Skylar Thompson in for Tua against Geno Smith. Miami, Seattle, in Seattle. Detroit goes to Arizona. Goff against Murray. Frisco against the Rams. Purdy against Stafford. But there's 3 receivers out in the game. Samuel's out. Cooper Kupp and Pukanuka. Baltimore, Lamar against Prescott. 2 terrible quarterbacks. KC, Atlanta, Mahomes against Cousins. Pacheco's out. Jacksonville, Buffalo, Lawrence against Allen. And Washington, Cincinnati, Jalen Daniels against Joe Burrow. Jalen Daniels' 3rd game. Good quarterback, but he ain't ready. You can't. It's like starting a new job. Even if you're working at McDonald's, you think you're ready day 3 to flip hamburgers and fries and figure out what the fuck's going on? So no, I don't. Not in the NFL. They're just not ready. Again, they beat the Giants where, that's really hard to do. Alabama could beat the Giants. Normally I say Georgia, but I'm upset at Georgia right now. So that's what you got this week. Tomorrow's game is New England and the Jets. The Jets 6.5, 38.5% against Rodgers. Look for Rodgers to get better and better. Now he got the win at Tennessee. Now the defense isn't ready yet. They almost tied the game up. It was 24-17 in the last couple of plays. We're throwing into the end zone. So the Jets defense isn't there yet. New England's playing decent for them. I mean, you don't have Belichick. How good is Belichick? Let's see. Brady left. He didn't even make the playoffs. Now he's gone, and they didn't look like they missed a beat. So this is really interesting, bringing back Brissett and bringing in still they're playing decent defense. Interesting game. So that's tomorrow's game, and then we got all the Sunday. Sunday night is KC Atlanta, and then Monday night there's 2 games: Jacksonville, Buffalo, and Washington, Cincinnati. I have no idea why. Especially like one's at 7 and one's at 8. Like, what's the point of that? So that's the pros. We've done the college, and now it's my job to take my 25 college and weed them down to what I feel are locks and strong plays, and to kind of get the losers out of there. Okay, I like you, but you could be, like Vanderbilt last week and Coastal Carolina. I didn't really weed them out as I should have. And I didn't lock Western Kentucky as I should have. That pissed me off. And I went Georgia instead of Georgia under. I knew Kentucky wasn't going to score, but they have a good defense, which normally they do. So, yeah, it was probably it was a bad play, but that doesn't happen again. Georgia, Alabama next week. All right, everybody. Well, having a nice day. I'll be back for economics. I'm on a little early because I got to eat. I got to go to the pool, work out, and then I got to somehow economics was at 10 o'clock last night. But it was good. I still had a good crowd. Luke was on. I don't know if Pat was briefly on or not. Gold, 25.75. We're still making our move up, although it's running 10 minutes behind. See, it says 104 at the bottom, but it's 115. This should say 115. So really weird it's not accurate. Anyway, 30.42 for silver. So keep your eye on it. Breaks October 22nd. So we got Luke wanted me to have a countdown. So we're 34 days away from gold going through the roof, and they're definitely doing it. The U.S. is scared as shit. They're we'll sanction you. Well, yeah, okay, sure. We don't care. And that's about it. So we've gone through the injuries. Cam Rising, again, is listed. And somehow Utah's a 2.5 points favorite. The freshman quarterback looked okay, but Cam Rising, I could lay 2.5. Oak State's a very good team, very good runner in Gordon. All right, so that's how we do it, and just now we go through Michigan USC. The USC is the free pick. Take them even. You got Cincinnati Bengals. They're down to 7.5. Lay 1.5, and that's what we got. So. Too many analytics where they're just looking at numbers and trying to figure out what the numbers are, and they don't mean anything. These guys going on fourth down because 51% of the time it works. The problem is the 49% when it doesn't work, and they lose the game. I mean, that's what happens. So be careful, these analytic guys. It doesn't work. It's too broad. It's not analytics against San Francisco or against Kansas City or against New York. It's just thrown into a bucket. Well, that's not how you need it. So anyway, so that's what's going on. Again, the class, I might do a Zoom or a Teams. It could be easier. I think you just go into your email and click, I want to have a Teams meeting, and I think it comes up. That's what I did at work. I don't know. Hopefully it'll work like that. Yeah, as opposed to a YouTube private chat where the chat's not working. I got to figure out, how to do it. Fuck it. I'll just do a Teams or something. So I'll try to do that. But that's Friday night. So 7:00 will be college, 7 Eastern Standard Time for college, and let's call it about 8 for the pros. We'll go 8 probably till 8:30. We don't need. There's not as many games where college takes an hour. And then I came back Saturday morning and Sunday morning. So college, you get Friday night, and then Saturday we look at line changes and injuries that we were waiting on. So there's 2 classes, but it's 25 for both. Same thing with the pros. It would be Friday at 8, and then you get the 11:00 class Sunday morning, looking at line changes and that. And that'll be a quick class. Ask your questions. I want to do a 5-team teaser. What do you think of this game? All that gets answered there, not here. And just $25. So, that be it. So that's what we got. If you want a more inclusive class in economics and or football, I do one Monday and Fridays where we're actually doing how to pick, getting into behind the curtain. How do you pick it? How do you figure it out? And then how do you bet it? And how do you win at it? So I touch on it lightly here, but basically that's the guts of it. So if you want that, just buy a class and then email me. So anyway, good luck today. Let's keep gold getting higher and higher. And it is an investment, and it's not the dollar going down. It's the demand for gold raising the price like any other asset, like the Montana card or the Rolex. It's not the dollar going down on those. Why is it the dollar going down on gold? Gold is an asset just like a Rolex. There's no difference. All right. Well, have a good day. I'll be back in the afternoon with Econ. And I'm going to have a quick bite, and then I will be off to the pool. All right. Have a nice day, everybody. Take care. www.teaserking.com. Good luck this weekend.